Today I'm going to show you a little trick that might change your life. How to run your pedals in parallel. Let's do it. For decades and decades, guitar players, especially in the studio, have a secret. It's not really done on our typical pedal boards that we all use because it can seem a little complicated when in reality it's not. It's running your effects in parallel instead of in series. Most everyone on earth, including me, builds a pedal board and we hook up our pedals in series. That just means one pedal into the next pedal into the next pedal. When you go in series and multiple pedals are on, all of those pedals are reacting to each other, and in reality, if you have 3 pedals on, that makes a new pedal. They're all playing off of each other. No effect is isolated or truly itself in a series pedal board. That's good. There's a lot of famous sounds that way, and we're used to it. It's a wonderful thing. But paralleling your effects is a whole other ballgame because nothing touches. No pedal influences another pedal. They are completely separated and independent sonically of each other, and you can get some really cool effects that you've never heard before, or effects that you've heard before and never realized how they were doing it. Today I'm going to demonstrate some different effect types that are popular to put in parallel, and I'm going to start with overdrive and distortion. This one's really popular, so much so that when I collaborated with Boss on the JB2 with the Angry Charlie circuit combined with their blues driver, one of the most popular settings is the parallel mode. That's why people love this pedal, because you can put a blues driver in parallel with my high gain Marshall thing, and it creates a very interesting, unique overdrive distortion sound that you don't really get when you're running in series. So let's do that manually, and I'm going to show you on the top-down camera, and I'm just going to hook this up first of all and let you understand the signal flow. It's really, really simple. To do this, you need 2 devices, and we make both of these devices. One is the buffered splitter. This little device simply splits your input cable. It makes it 2 outputs. You can use this for a lot of stuff, but we're not going to get into that. If you're curious about either of these after this episode, the website describes how to use them. There's a link in the description to go check out each one of these. But guitar goes in, and you now have 2 outputs instead of 1 output. This is the summing amplifier, or the summing amp as we call it, and it does the opposite. It takes in 2 things and sums them perfectly into 1. So inside of these 2 devices, you build a little ecosystem that runs both pedals at the same time, but doesn't let them touch. So I'm gonna use white cables for the inputs of the pedals, just so you can visually see that. So let's send one of the outputs into a Morning Glory. The Morning Glory is our most famous overdrive pedal. It is considered transparent, low gain. Then we have our most famous high gain pedal. It's the JCM 800 in a box, kind of a Marshall sound, the Angry Charlie. I'm gonna go out of this other output. Now this is weird. You don't think like this when you're building a pedal board, but I promise it's gonna come together and be really cool. Now, why do you need a box to do this? Well, some of you are thinking, I'll just get a cable splitter and like buy it at Radio Shack and shove it in the inputs. You don't want to do that. This is electronic, it's a circuit, it keeps everything isolated, it keeps the noise down. The same for this. You don't want to do this passively because the pedals are going to sound like garbage and you're going to have lots of problems. So that's our input. Now we need to get out of these pedals and sum them back together. I'm going to use black cables for the outputs. So let's go out of the Morning Glory and into the first input of the summing amp. Now we're gonna go out of the Angry Charlie. We're gonna go into that second or first, whatever, the other input. Guitar's going in. It's split perfectly and sonically here into the Morning Glory and into the Angry Charlie at the same time. Out of the Morning Glory and out of the Angry Charlie into the summing amp, which is summing it together. It's like math, that's why we have a calculator on it. And then you have 1 output. Right now, these pedals are both on and they're not touching. And they're perfectly blended together in mono. We can do a lot of stuff with this, but let's listen to overdrive and distortion at the same time in parallel. All right, I have the pedals off and you're gonna hear a clean signal. All right, let's turn on the Angry Charlie first, and that's gonna mean it's in parallel with true bypass. So that's gonna mean there's a clean signal in this now. Does that make sense?
Yeah!
You get it? This is being turned on. Let's blend it into the clean signal. The summing amp is 50% to each output. So if you want to change that, you turn up the volume of one or the other to get a more blend on the one side. So weird. There's a clean guitar underneath the Marshall stack here. Now let's turn on the Morning Glory and we're gonna have transparent low gain overdrive with a high gain Marshall. Notice if I turn the volume down on one, it removes that other part. So that was clean signal because it's true bypass. But if the volume off, it just removes that parallel and you get the pureness of that pedal. Let's back the gain up on the Angry Charlie a little, and you're gonna get this really nice blend where this is more of like a heavy overdrive, and then it's this in parallel with this brighter, cleaner drive. It's a much more usable sound. That's overdrive and distortion in parallel. You could honestly mess with that for the rest of your life. So next up, I'm gonna replace the light gain drive with a tube screamer because it'll do some high gain if I want it in this situation. Remember, input, output. Now I'm gonna replace the Angry Charlie with a fuzz. So this is gonna be interesting. A lot of times you will play a tube screamer with a fuzz pedal. That's very, very common, or like a Klon style pedal with a fuzz. So I'm gonna put them in parallel. Now, like on my personal board, I use a Cheeseball, and then I always put a drive pedal after my fuzzes, always, because it makes the mids go up in the fuzz. This is gonna be interesting. I've actually never done this in parallel. We're gonna have a fuzz tone, and we're gonna have the mid-heavy, mid-range overdrive in parallel. I don't know what this is gonna sound like, I'm afraid. Okay, let's add the fuzz by itself. And remember, I turn this off. Clean is now existing on that path. So this fuzz with clean. That's so weird. It's kind of amazing though. I don't hate that. I'm gonna turn this on, but turn the volume down, removing that whole signal path. This is the fuzz by itself in its pure form. Add the clean in by turning this off. I kind of like that. I don't know how I would use it, but that's super weird, especially when you compare how it sounds in its normal form. Lots of thoughts. I mean, one thing you could do here, you could just run a patch, like you could remove, if you wanted to add 50% clean to a fuzz pedal, I'm making this up. This is called improv. You could just take this input, right? We went into the pedal. Let's not even, who cares about the pedal? That would be clean always in it. Right? So I just patched straight in pedal, and then 50% clean. if you just wanted to do this with your dirt pedal or your fuzz. The more volume I give the pedal, the more mix it's gonna push in that blend. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
In the comments below, if you're hanging with me, let me know. Because I'm confused, but this is fun. Let's blend them. That is so weird. The tube screamer's not affecting the fuzz, which is always happens in series, obviously. And the fuzz is just being the fuzz. It doesn't have anything in front of it or behind it. They're like both perfectly alone, but joined. So I turn the drive up on that, which is gonna give it more mids because the tube screamer pushes the mids, and that's amazing. I'll do that again. There's so many things you could do here. I gotta move on. This is crazy. Fuzz with overdrive. All right, you heard it. Let's get into some effects instead of drives. Drives are effects, but let's get into like some time-based effects. Delay pedals, when ran in series, which we all do this, they are affected or altered by the dirt path in front of them. So in a lot of famous rigs and records, you'll see parallel delays like The Edge, David Gilmour, Pink Floyd, stuff like that. Because when you let the delays live on their own, they stay cleaner and more precise. So you're gonna have a totally clean delay on top of and not touching a dirt signal. It's so weird to turn this gain control, which is making it really dirty and also boosting mids, and nothing's happening over here. Also, the drive pedal disappears, but the delay keeps going clean. So when I'm strumming, it's a dirty guitar. When I stop, a clean guitar exists. That's cool. Moving on, let's add reverb in the place of this. Let's insert the 3 series reverb here. So this is a really wonderful setup. I'm probably gonna do this on my new board because it doesn't change how you use your pedals in this scenario. You would just put them on like normal, but keep them from touching each other. You could hide these under your pedal board. No one would ever know you're doing this, but then you would always know you're keeping this separate. And yeah, I might have to do that on my new board. I've never had it except in studio situations or demonstrating it. So it's a pretty cool setup. Let's do a dotted 8th, which would normally clutter a reverb really badly, and leave that reverb where it is. Let's do some modulation madness. Let's replace this 3 series reverb with a 3 series chorus. So this is just a classic chorus style pedal. It'll do like the old school 80s chorus or even a modern thing if you want. We're gonna put that here, and I'm gonna put another chorus pedal in parallel. This is the Emperor True Bucket Brigade Now, normally, if you stacked choruses, which is a thing that people do, and it is a great sound in series, but they affect each other. You're chorusing the chorus before it. In this case, I'm gonna keep these independent of each other, and you're gonna hear them layering. And you can do some crazy stuff because the speeds aren't altering the other speeds. They're not phasing in any way. So this is essentially stacking the two choruses at similar rates and depths and getting this big old massive rack unit sounding chorus. Madness. Let's put the delay back in and listen to what that sounds like. So the delay, again, is clean with a really crazy modulation effect in parallel, but you're only gonna hear that while I'm playing. The delay is gonna keep going after I play. So I put it in vibrato here, pretty heavy setting. That's interesting. This is so cool. This makes me want to make this pedal.
I want to try something. To take this up a notch, you could do something like, with like, something with like.
That's cool because it doesn't affect this when you're shifting the time. That is very cool. That's bizarre. Wild. That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this weird demonstration of a technique or a method that you may have never seen before, parallel effects. So check these out. There's a link in the description below. You can buy these. There's also other devices on the market that do similar things. We made them separately so that you could do different things with each. The buffered splitter is also really great for plugging in one guitar and going out to 2 amps, or plugging in a synthesizer and sending it to a guitar amp and also out to the PA or something like that. And then the same with this summing amp. You can do some different things as well. You could essentially plug in an acoustic guitar here and an electric here, and you could sum them to one channel and never have to unhook one of them, stuff like that. There's thousands of ways to use them, but yeah, this is the demonstration of why they were made, and we never showed that. So here we are, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. Bye-bye.